Four female Israeli hostages released by Hamas in exchange for 200 Palestinian prisoners.
University students in Serbia lead a nationwide strike as protests against Alexander Vucic's rule continue across the country.
Four Israeli hostages have been released by Hamas from captivity in Gaza. The Israel Defense Forces (IDF) confirmed in a statement that the four female Israeli soldiers were handed over to the Red Cross on Saturday and have now reunited with their families. The release was part of the second exchange since a fragile ceasefire took effect last weekend, halting the fighting in Gaza for at least 6 weeks, during which dozens of Israeli hostages and around 200 Palestinian prisoners will be freed. The families of the hostages cheered while watching their daughters being transferred to the IDF, while people in Israel gathered in a Tel Aviv square and cheered when the screen showed the four hostages. Last weekend, 3 Israeli hostages and 90 Palestinian prisoners were freed in what was the first exchange of the fragile ceasefire. Meanwhile, Israel's prison service confirmed on Saturday that it has released 200 Palestinian prisoners as part of the second exchange for the Gaza ceasefire deal.
Russia launched at least 61 drones on Ukraine overnight from Friday into Saturday, while Ukrainian forces confirmed to have downed 46 of the drones and 2 Russian missiles launched from aircraft. Some of the regions where drones were downed include Odessa, Kharkiv, Sumy, Donetsk, and Zaporizhia, according to local media. A 9-story residential building in the town of Vishneve in the Kyiv region, partially occupied, was hit. Emergency crews rescued 5 residents, including 2 children. Meanwhile, people living in the town of Hoting, close to Russia, report that since Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region, life has become increasingly difficult due to the intensity of Russian bombing. Although many refuse to leave as they say their troops need their daily support. On the other hand, Russian state media claimed that troops had entered the eastern Ukrainian town of Velika Novosilka in the Donetsk region. According to the Institute of War, Russian troops have recently advanced on the strategic town of Pokrovsk, which serves as a supply hub and is located at an important intersection of roads leading to key cities within the Donetsk region.
І наші діти теж не живуть без війни.
A woman has driven her car into a crowd of protesters in Belgrade as a student-led strike shuttered businesses across the country. Serbia has seen weeks of anti-government protests since 15 people were killed when a concrete canopy collapsed at Novi Sad train station in November. Protesters also accuse President Alexander Vucic of being increasingly authoritarian and curbing democratic freedoms. Vucic held his own rally with thousands of his supporters meeting in the central town of Jagodina. Vucic blamed unspecified foreign forces for fueling the protest movement and called for a dialogue with the protest leaders. 15 people were killed when a concrete canopy at Novi Sad train station collapsed on the 1st of November. Protesters blame the disaster on sloppy construction work caused by government corruption. Prosecutors filed charges against 13 people, but the former construction minister has since been released, fueling doubts over the probe's independence. Preparations are underway at Auschwitz to mark the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Nazi extermination camp. The commemoration ceremony will take place on the 27th of January and will be attended by Holocaust survivors, international guests and Polish authorities. Organisers say there will be no speeches by politicians and only survivors of the death camp will speak.
Mamy nadzieję, że 27 stycznia cały świat połączy się z nami, żeby posłuchać głosu ocalałych z Auschwitz.
The commemorations take place in Oświęcim, a town that was under German occupation during World War II, where the Nazis operated the most notorious of their death camps. More than 1.1 million people were murdered at Auschwitz. At least 3 million of Poland's 3.2 million Jews were murdered by the Nazis. In total, nearly 6 million European Jews were killed during the Holocaust.